get started. Okay. All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming. We're recording this for those who couldn't make it today. We're going to talk about some of the newer improvements in CiviCRM, specifically Search Kit, and how that can be used for manipulating and updating and finding and reporting, like all the things data related. This is a follow-up. Last August, I can't believe it was that long ago, we had done the initial walkthrough of Search Kit. And since then, there have been some major improvements that we wanted to highlight. And we've been using Search Kit. We get different client requests. As one of the things that I look at now is, can Search Kit solve this problem? Can Search Kit help someone get to the data quicker? So a number of the searches and use and examples that I'm going to show are real life things that have been asked by our clients. So I'm going to share my screen and kind of start talking about Search Kit. Okay, great. So you can all see my screen, I hope. Okay, good. So we're going forward. So when we last talked, Search Kit had, it was not complete, and it still isn't because it's a work in progress. But last August, you could search for contacts, you could search for contributions and a few other things, but key items such as memberships were not in Search Kit, and they were added shortly thereafter. Now, Search Kit can find data in contacts, activities, contributions, down to the line item level in contributions. And, for me, with a lot of the accounting and finance questions that we get, that's a big benefit. Events, participants and events, memberships, even mailings, case. If you're using CiviCase, there's support for that now. That's one of the newer things that needs improvement. And campaigns also, as we'll talk about. Search Kit's also getting improvements with every release. So depending upon the version of Civi you're on, and knowing the folks on this call, you're either on the version I'm showing or the one just before this, because we roll out the updates a little at a time as we test through. But we're really all current, and just about everything that's here can be done on your sites. So just to kind of, in case you weren't here, and also to center myself on what we want to talk about, is that the power of Search Kit is that we can search for data that are in multiple areas. We can search for contact data, but also retrieve data about their memberships and data about their event participation. That's one of the things that we couldn't really do in advanced search. Sure, we could filter the data down based upon some of those criteria, but we could only get the results, records, from contacts in one other entity being like a contribution or an event record or a membership record. So Search Kit allows us to stitch together all of the data in one place. So that is really its power. It's also, at least I think at this stage, Search Kit is also at the stage where for manipulating the data, we're using what's called Form Builder, and the forms can be on the admin side, they can be on the front end side, and I'll talk about the different use cases in a little bit about that. But we really now have a searching tool, a reporting tool, and a data manipulation tool. So it really works out well. So the first thing I'm going to show, what's up on my screen, is the Search Kit main screen. And it's under Search Kit. And this is my Search Kit demo site. So I've built about 23 different searches here. And each one has its name, and it tells you what it works for, whether it's line items, contributions, contacts, memberships. And because of how many you can get, you can actually filter. So if I want to find all search kits that are primarily contribution searches, I can find it. So the filtering will let me see very quickly contribution searches. And it also allows us to filter by tags. And I like tags because, well, quite frankly, I like colors, and I can visually quickly see what is what color, and I can search there. So from an admin perspective, we can see a lot more than we did before. So I'm going to start by talking about a very basic membership search and how we can then update. So the member update is a search that was built, and it's right here. I'm saving myself time by having the tabs pre-populated. So I've called this member update. It's based on memberships. So the first part of the search is the primary search. I'm mostly searching for memberships. And I also want contact data. So, and I'm not limiting the result set anywhere here. I search, and in the demo database, which is not very large, I get 46 membership records. And I've got a table where I've added all of the membership data that I want: the display name, member type, member since, start date, expiry, the campaign, and the status. We can add columns by coming to the add button, and we can search for anything that we want. So I'll go to the contact record, and I'm going to add the gender, just, So any column can be added to the report on the fly. So that the advantage to this is that if you're used to working with the Civi reports, the columns that are available are set. It's in the report. You can get what you get. If we want to add something, we've got to edit the report in code. Here, we can simply add most important issue should be a, yep, there we go. If we want to know what their most important issue is, we can add that here. And it might be mostly blank for these folks because it's a demo database. Nope, it's not. But we can add these columns. So initially, as we're building this, we have a lot more flexibility in how we can get the data back. In this main admin screen, we have checkboxes. And if I check them all, I can go to the action, and it gives us some, depending upon your permissions, you can do a lot to it. So you can do the bad stuff, like you can delete all the memberships, okay? You could download the spreadsheet. I find this particularly useful because if we have created a search to get a particular set of data, the criteria and the columns, downloading the spreadsheet will download exactly what is here. Exporting memberships will actually launch us into the default Civi export screen where you have to choose all the columns again. So that's why I really think that the download spreadsheet is there. We also, and I'll show this in a couple of minutes, we also have the ability to update, and that is a bulk update of the memberships so that we can actually bulk update if we have something that we have to update the same field or the same fields on multiple records, we can run an update on. But this is, an admin screen. This is where we build the search. So typically what we will do is we will create a form for this to be built on. And the way that you build forms is we add a table, and I've already added one. It can also be a list or a grid. So it depends upon how you like to see things visually, because a list is just that, a list. And I think I have an example I can show you before we end. But I think in tables. So my member update is a table. And if we go to the bottom, it's now showing that data in the table. And the difference here is that we can add and remove columns, because I had added gender and the most important issue. Well, they're not here yet. I'm not going to add them right now. But it also allows us to change the header to whatever we want the header to read. So if instead of display name, I want it to say full name, when I refresh the data down below display name, will change to full name. So this way we can control what the columns say. We also can tell it to link to where do we want it to go. The display name will take us to view the membership contact. We can have a little tool tip. Also, this is where we start to be able to style. So I've said on the membership expiration date, color it red if it's yet less than yesterday. So as we can see, all of the memberships that expired in the past are showing up in red. So it's just a visual cue. I mentioned I liked colors. What we can also do is on membership expiry date, I've checked the in-place edit. That means you can edit it right in place. So that if I don't like that, Larry, this is a mistake, I want to change their member expiration date, I can just enter the date here, click the green box, come on, Kevin. It will take a moment to save. Everything takes longer on Zoom. And it's not red any longer. The status went from expired to current, and we've updated that membership right in this grid. Rather than find the contact, open the contact, go to the membership tab, edit the membership, we've done it right here. So any questions so far? No? Okay. A lot of times when we do these, we're light on questions, but that's great. So what we then do is we can build forms off of this. And we have what I call the member update form, which is open over here. And this is Form Builder. And Form Builder allows us to build a form that can be accessible in different ways. So I name it Member Update. We can put in a description, but key is on this form, we get to determine the permissions. So I've basically set this form that you have to be an admin to get to it, but we have all of the Civi permissions. So if we have edit memberships as a permission, I could change this permission so that any user that's logged into the system that has the edit membership permission could access this form. Since I want everything to work today, I'm not going to change it on the fly. And I can also set the page, and all pages are going to begin with CiviCRM because that's just built in. But I've called the page Member Update, and this way I can go to a page and update this form. We can also decide whether that is on the front end of the website or the back end. For this first one, I'm going to do it in the admin. And then there's other features that we went into last time about adding, forms to the dashboard or to a contact summary page. The fields that we search on, we build from here. So I put a container here, and I said we might want to search on status, membership type, or membership expiration date. And what the heck, I'll add member since. All I have to do is drag and drop, and member since now becomes a search field. When I hit save, it'll save it, and it'll let me view the page. There's advanced stuff where you can go into the markup, but we don't have to do that today. I'll hit view the page. It'll open in a new tab. Okay. And now it goes and retrieves the data, and we've got all of our fun data. So one of the other things that this is that these columns are all sortable. So if I just click on the expiry date, it's going to sort ascending to oldest to newest, ascending. The first two are blank, and that's good because they're lifetime memberships. So that actually makes sense because in the test database, lifetime memberships have no expiration date. We can see the expired. We can even see the status. This particular contact was marked as deceased. Therefore, they're not, that's an expired membership. That's how Civi handles that. And now we have this form, and I can say, show me all expired memberships. And And you don't have to hit submit. I mean, I can add a submit button to slow it down, but it's built so that as soon as you make a selection, it will go out and query the database. So I can now see all my expired memberships. And right in this form, our users can come in and say, we're going to extend their membership. I mean, it's not so much realistic that we'd just keep extending people's memberships, but just for the purpose of how this works is how I'm going through it. The other thing that we can do is say, if I look at my current memberships, I realized that when I did this, I didn't get membership drive as the campaign on these. There was I messed up somewhere. And we have two options. We can inline, because I've set it to do inline. I can update and just add the membership drive one off. But what is really nice here, let me get a few, is if I choose multiple and then do update memberships, I'm now able to say campaign, I'm also not limited to just the fields that I see here. If I want to say also update the source, where did this membership come from? And I could say 2022 member drive. I can update multiple fields, obviously all to the same value, in bulk, and I can hit update. Now, Civi had a bulk update feature before, has a bulk update feature, but oh God, it's limited to 50 or 100 records at a time. And I've done this with 500 at a time with no issues whatsoever. Okay, I'd have to check to see if there's actually a built-in limit there, but since we are updating the data, the more data we update, we're subject to, your server and your website, how long it times out before it updates all the data. So there are some sane limits that I really like doing it in batches of 500, but we're able to bulk update. And if we go look at one of these records, when we go to the membership record, we should be able to see that the source got updated to 2022 member drive. And if we edit it, it should show me the campaign here. There we go. And the campaign is right there as well. So it's just a much quicker and more manageable way to manage the data and report on it. Okay. Let's close a couple tabs. Member update. How many of those do I need? Okay. So the next search I want to talk about is an event search. So, we're always wanting to know who attended what event. We want to know what happened with them. Who were they? So I've built this search, say, go find me participants. I'm going to get the event data, event title, if nothing else, the contact data. And if you notice, this says with required, because, I'm getting the participant record. It's required that it has an event, and it's required that you are a contact. But then I add in, on an optional basis, oh, I want to know if they have a membership, because I want to know what members came to my event. And I'm going to make it optional because my events are not limited to members, but I might want to know who attended that was a member. And I can say, I only want to know about my current members, new, current, and grace. I could also say, I only care about certain member types, general, student, lifetime. So I can actually filter and get as granular as I want to on this data. Let's get rid of that because I don't know what results that'll get me. I'm also adding their emails in. And I'm adding a where clause. I'm saying, hey, only show people who are registered or attended. If they've let's see, what are the other, if they're a no-show, canceled, on wait list, I don't want to know about them. So again, it's a test database, so there's limited data, but I get 28 different results, and I can see that I have a number of different events. The fall fundraiser dinner, the summer solstice festival day concert, okay? And I've already pre-chosen the fields. And I've got the member type, one lifetime member, signed up, but nobody else is a member. The participant email, one of the events has a dinner, so there's a soup, so I pulled in that custom field. I've also got the attendee roles and the event type. And again, we can add fields right here. So the process is the same. I tend to create a table, decide what I want to do as far as any styling, linking, or in-place editing. So in this one, I'm like, I might want to edit the participant role because some of these attendees might turn into volunteers, and some of these attendees might actually be the hosts. I want to be able to edit their soup selection because, well, it's just whatever, I just needed something arbitrarily to show. And I mean, I actually haven't found a use case for it other than this demo, but we can have an empty placeholder. So if they haven't selected a soup, I'm returning, just a little text string. So that when I preview this result in this table, I've colored anybody with the soup selection green, and anyone who didn't choose soup has, note soup. We then go back into the form builder, and sorry about that. Okay, the form builder, and I'm basically saying, hey, let's be able to search by event title, event type, start and end date, and membership type. I've also said that this one is accessible on the front end of the website, so that when this is viewed, the difference is that rather than being in the admin side, we're now on the front end of the website. Now, permissions still adhere. It's not like the public can come find this page. You still have to be logged in, and you have to have the permissions set on this page of effectively be an administrator. But this allows us for a use case of, some of my users don't want to go into the CiviCRM. Some of the users are more comfortable working on the front end. And it also enables us to kind of drive people here because we can control exactly what fields they see and what data they update, rather than go into a form and be able to change anything on it. So hold on, I just want to look at my notes so I know what I'm supposed to do next. So looking at this form, we've got a lot of different options, and I want to actually look at just the fall fundraiser dinner. So I'm going to filter by dinner because that's in the title, and it's going to show me all the records that have the dinner. And as I can see, again, we can edit the soup selection, and I can bulk update that just like I did before. Very fortunately, we've been told that there is no more salmon stew. I don't know whoever thought that was a good idea to have salmon stew as the default food, but it's going to be a chicken combo, and we're going to update 12 records with chicken combo because that's what we're going to serve. And it's a little silly, these examples, but it's more about the fact that this is what we can do to the data. What I do like is that right in here, rather than go to each record, again, I can take the fall fundraiser dinner, and they're not going to be in a host any longer. I can edit that, take the host role away, save it, and I've updated the record. These folks are volunteer. I also want to make them attendees because I like to mark my volunteers that they're also attending. So we're able to, right from the front end, search and find whatever we want. We can also then say, and I know I have a lifetime member, so I'll search for, oh, I guess I don't. Oh, not on the dinner. See, caught. Okay, so on the summer solstice, we have a member. So we can get reporting of who's here that's a member, who's here that's not. And this way we can build searches and target. One person asked me, can we build this search so that we find all the people who are not members that attended an event so that we can then target them in a mailing? And the answer is, yeah, absolutely we can. I do some changes to the search parameters, but we certainly can do it. So this is just another example of us stitching together contact data, event data, and membership data in order to get the results that we want. And again, here you can also do the download spreadsheet, which obviously I find valuable. All right, any questions at this point? Because I don't want to go too long. I'll bring up a general contact search next. Nope. Okay. Let's see where I'm at. Okay. So again, here I'm just making a very simple, contact update. I'm finding my individual contacts with emails, addresses, phones, memberships, just because I always search for memberships, because with membership organizations, we always want to know the status. I've chosen the column. Let's see what I've got. So I've got the names editable. I've got a lot of in-place edits here. Preview that. Oh, that's right. I brought in a whole bunch more contacts. There we go. And I can, and we can first, and I can, again, it's just the ability for us to quickly update data in a table as opposed to opening one record at a time is just one of the things I really want to highlight. Probably more than I should, but we're there. Okay. And because I'm sorting by last name, that dropped them down somewhere into the next thing. So I've created the form. It's the same walkthrough, but we can say, show me everybody in New York. And I can get a search right back. I can also say, let me show everybody in, I know there's people in Pennsylvania. Whoops, I scrolled too fast. My impatience is showing, sorry about that. And we have a whole bunch of people in Pennsylvania. What I've also done here is that in the selection, I'm calculating the age, and I've color coded the age based upon what the results come up. So that if you're looking for certain age-based searches, I did one for a client who needed to find all attendees of an event that were under 30 so that they could target their young, the young people, try to, capture them forever. So we were able to do that and highlight in the colors so that they could then target mailings to them about additional events. So having that data in, being able to get not just the birth date, but have the years display in the grid has been very useful for a number of cases. And this allows us to update, search, sort. I can, bulk update the same. It's a bit of a repetitive. So I'll do one last thing because it kind of interests me. I don't know if it will for you, but one thing that I've often had trouble with is that everyone will create groups of contacts over time and end up with far more groups than we need. If we have to go in and disable them, it's a one-by-one process. So I've created a group search where I can come in here and take a look at all of the search and see whether the group is enabled or disabled. When I come into the table, because table of view is what allows me to do the in-place edit. I can now say, no, this lapsed organizational member, I don't need that group anymore. Click, change it to no, hit select, and I'm done. I can also bulk update these groups and enable or disable them. I can also bulk delete the groups. So I found this very useful. The other place that I found it useful, and I actually don't have one on the test site, I should bring it over, is if we need to bulk delete contacts, Search Kit, well, if we can come up with a search to find them, we can bulk delete contacts very quickly because we're not subject with the, update 50 at a time or delete 50 at a time. So we can delete whatever we need to do. So those are the main things that I wanted to highlight. How long have been at it? Yeah, about what I had expected as far as the timing goes. The next stage, as you can see from, this is a form. Input forms are also on the horizon, and we'll probably do that in its own separate, session like this on how input forms can be built so that we can have, we can start using this form, this form builder in order to build not just a search and then manipulate, but we can build some input forms here. Okay. That covers my entire list. Melissa had helped me prepare for this. So Melissa, did I forget anything, or is there something that?
No, you didn't forget anything, but I do have a question.
Oh,
you said that in order to do the in-place editing, you have to select the table view.
yeah. So you can't, so there's a search view where you search for your data. Okay. And the search view is how we get it. We set the criteria.
Right.
Now I can't edit here. There's no settings here. So in order,
right, because that's kind of the preview of your query.
Right. Then I come to here where the add button is on the left, and I can create a smart group off of this. We talked about this the last time, but I'll give it a 30-second. If we have a complex query here and we want to create a smart group of contacts off of this query, if we set a smart group here, it will work just like every other smart group that you've got in the system. It can be a mailing list. It can be a thing. I'll create one. Here it is, untitled, and this is test participants. And I can make that a mailing list, and I hit save at the top right-hand corner. And then as this particular search basically is searching only for people who've come to an event.
Right, right.
So anyone who registers for an event will end up getting added to this smart group. But when you add a table, a list, or a grid, what you then get is this
kind of like a layout editor.
This layout editor, thank
Right.
you. We can do the sorting. So I didn't even talk about that. We could say sort by last name, okay, ascending or descending. So we can talk about the sorting. And then we can decide things like, do we want row borders, column borders, even odd stripes? But this is where we basically say, what is the header? Does it link? Does it have a, or in-place editor? Now, certain fields you can't edit the participant ID. That would be bad. Okay. So if we wanted to be able to in-place edit the event title, all I have to do is check that box.
Right, right.
If I want to add an icon to the event, and this, I mean, I don't like the, I'll just use that quickly. Okay. It's a sky, normal. So it can actually add an icon on each column. So that, I mean, what I chose looks a little, so we can add an icon so that's
right.
there. Again, we're into the styling. And I can edit. I've never done this. This should update all of them. Be real interesting. There we go. And it updated all of them because we actually edited the event title on the event. So we've really gone in, and this works because the way the Search Kit is built, it's on the latest CiviCRM API. So when you edit it, it routes it through the API. So your updates go through all the places that they're supposed to go, which makes it really powerful. But this is where we do. So if we
Right.
want to be able to edit the emails of a person.
Right. No, I get this part, but you mentioned that you set it up as a table, but can you do inline editing if you select one of the other views, the list view or the grid view? That was my question.
Ah, okay. Hold
Sorry.
on. That's okay. I believe, because I believe I did. Hold on a second. 3 displays. Okay. Grid. Okay. So it's just another member list that I created.
I'm curious to see what those look like too.
Oh,
It's a grid. It's a grid like
okay. So
like cards.
Yeah, that's what the grid view is. And let's
Okay.
actually edit that. Because I'm so inclined to like the tables.
Yeah, well, I like tables too, but I was curious to know what the lists and grids looked like.
There we go. Okay. No, I cannot in a grid do an in-place edit.
Okay.
Great question. Okay.
I bet you can do it in a list.
I'm going to find out. Let's go down here and preview for a second. Because this should just be the, no in-place edit in the,
Okay.
you can only do the in-place edit in the table.
Okay.
And that's why I must have learned that when I first started working with this because of that. Okay. And that's something that can change because this is an evolving product.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Thoughts? Anything else? Well,
one question, Kevin. When you run this as a smart group, as you created it, does it maintain these custom columns that you?
No, now we're just into a group. So the group, and we called that test participants, I believe.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. What ends up happening here is it's just collecting the contacts because the group is going to be used. Oh, there we go. I broke something on the test site today, but all the smart group does is keeps the list of contacts because then we're going to use it as a mailing list. And all the smart group really wants to know about is which contacts are in this group.
Okay.
Okay. We can then use that group to select other data with the columns, but really the grouping is grabbing the contacts IDs and storing that. Okay. And one other thing that's coming, because I know that I've been asked this as well, is that when we start looking at how we're searching and doing this, there has been an organization that has sponsored some work. So I would expect in the early fall, proximity searching. So if we want to find all members within 10 miles of this zip code, that's something that is in core, but it's meaning you can do that currently, but it's a bit clunky. Now it's going to come to Search Kit. It will still require for you to have a good, you will have to enable either like the Google Maps API, or you should be able to use OpenStreetMaps as well. OpenStreetMaps is open source, and I'm pretty certain it's no charge for a certain number of requests. It's not as pinpoint accurate as Google, but it's close. So it all depends upon. So for proximity search, that's good enough. If we need to find exactly where that business is and it's 6 blocks off, it might be a problem. But if we're looking for all members within 2 miles of Berkeley, California, then that's okay if we're off a couple of blocks. So, all right. All right, well, I had meant to do this in 30 minutes and I've gone longer. So I appreciate everybody. Oh, Christian.
If you've seen, so this is really nice, these searches across data types and then being able to have a table and export the data, very handy. Have you looked, once you've set up one of these saved searches, is there any way to get at the data through the API to automate access to that data, or would you have to go in and export a table each time you want a particular nicely formatted custom extract?
That's a great question. There must be. So the Saved Search actually has its own API where all of this is stored.
Okay.
So no, I have not looked at that, but it's intriguing and I would think we could.
I'll poke around and look.
Yeah.
Okay,
The
cool.
other thing that I didn't show, but since everybody's been so good, what we can do, where's one with 3 displays and forms? Here we go. If we click on the hamburger menu to the right of edit, there's an export option. And that export option is going to allow me to export the Saved Search displays if we have smart groups. And it gives me all the data. And when I copy that to the clipboard, I can go to another site and import the data. It's going to validate it, and I'm not going to import it here because it's the same thing. But what this does for us is it lets us build standard searches on a site like this, and then export and import them to, say, your own site. So it makes this a very portable solution where we can move something very quickly. For example, this recurring by date contribution, I had a client open up a ticket recently that they needed to find a listing of all the recurring contributions that were going to happen in the next 60 days, but they needed more data than was on the report. I built this in, I was going to say, about a half hour or so, and now it's here, it's on their site, and it now is something that we can actually make portable for anyone who's doing recurring contributions. So I really see a lot of possibilities here, because for years we were asked, can I customize this report? I just want to add one column. I just want to do this. And we're like, yeah, of course we can. It's just gonna, there's a fee for that. We have to do some custom work. And now we can kind of do it right in a UI. This is something that you can, we're searching for data. You can build these yourselves. And you can start playing with manipulating the data. Once we get to version 5.50 of Civi, Search Kit, everything should now be enabled by default, meaning we're doing it. Civi is not turning it on by default yet, but this particular version is the one where we're turning it on, because a number of the admin screens that are in use in Civi are being converted over to Search Kit displays, because rather than maintain the old style of forms, everything is now moving to these new ones. So I'm trying to be proactive and get them all there. Okay. Any other questions? Well, I really appreciate everyone staying. I'm going to stop the recording first so that I don't mess up the recording.